Hey guys, as you can see from my shirt, it's that time of year again where we all bust out our ink supplies and cry a little inside. If you're watching this and were wondering what Inktober is, I've done a few videos in the past kind of explaining what it's about, but as a little overview, Inktober is an event during October where artists draw one drawing every day in ink. The goal of the challenge is to draw a permanent drawing in ink every day, but even the creator of Inktober himself, Jake Parker, has said that just choose any medium that challenges yourself. Maybe you want to work on oil paintings and you haven't done that before. Maybe you want to work on your digital skills. Just find something that challenges you. Now, I already use ink a lot in my work, so just using ink isn't quite a challenge for me, so I'm really focusing on my organization skills this year. I've actually never finished a full 31 days of Inktober, so this year it is my main goal to be organized enough to do all 31 days and compile it into a book that I will kickstart. I've never done a Kickstarter campaign before, so I'm really excited, but as I just reached 200,000 followers on Instagram, thank you so much! I wanted to do this as a bit of a celebration for that. I really want to give back to you guys, so I'm hoping Kickstarter will let me give you more gifts for helping me fund this project. I have a lot of plans for holographic stickers, and hopefully pins for the first time. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We haven't even started. Another part of my organization goal is to start a week before Inktober, still doing the drawings in one day, but starting before so I can hopefully film each one of my drawings. Oh God, I'm so scared. This is going to be a big personal challenge for me, but I'm hoping the overload will in turn make making 1 or 2 videos a week seem easy, so I can really get into the habit of being a regular YouTuber. I'll talk more about this stuff in my process videos throughout the month, and I would really love if you guys would ask me some questions down below this video so I know what I can talk about while I'm drawing. But without further ado, here is my prompt list. This year I'm doing Galaxy Girls, which is a list based on different constellations. That way I get to do a bunch of space, star, women, and animals and play with a theme that I have been dying to play with more. Now, just because I'm doing Galaxy Girls doesn't mean that if you follow along, you also have to make them women. You could do the constellations based on animals. You could do Galaxy Guys. If you'd like to also follow along with my prompt, be sure to tag your work with Lyfe Ink 18 and my handle, Lyfe Illustration, so I can see your work and we can all look at what we're creating at the same time. I've listed my supplies before, but I do have quite a few new things that I'm using this year. So I'm gonna do a quick run through of what supplies I'm using, and I'll try my best to list them down below. There's a lot. I'm playing with a lot of things this year. You by no means have to use as many supplies as I'm using. I've just been doing this for a few years now, so I slowly gather items like a pack rat. A little art pack rat. Now first, let's talk about paper. Now usually I use a sketchbook, and I was going to use one of my favorite sketchbooks, which is the Ilo sketchbook, Ilio. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but I will post it down below. It's a new brand and I just absolutely love them. But since I'm using so much ink wash, I wanted to use actual watercolor paper this time. So I am using Fabriano Artistico 100% cotton extra white hot press paper. This is 140 pound. Usually I like to use 300, but it's very expensive. So I went with the cheaper version, thinking that if I tape it down, it should be okay. The reason I wanted to use hot press, I usually like cold press because of the texture, but because I'm doing a lot of line work and brush pen work, it's easier to glide across hot press. I'm a little worried how it's going to handle ink wash and techniques like putting salt in ink and it gets like a texture, but hopefully it'll work out okay. Because I am doing ink wash, even though these are blocks and the paper should be completely glued into there, I'm still using tape to tape down my edges and give a clean finish on the edge. For this, I'm using Pro Artist tape. I found a really good deal on Amazon, so I ended up getting it there this time. So yeah, if you're doing a lot of ink wash, I highly recommend taping down your edges with some sort of artist tape. And artist tape just has a lower tact, so it won't rip up your paper as much. This year, for ink wash, I got one of these super cheap, super nifty, deeper dish little wells here, and I just fill them up with water and put varying drops of ink into each pool. So some will be light gray, some will be darker gray, and it's just really handy to use. Also for ink wash, I like to have a little spray bottle so I can spray certain areas and the ink will spread out, and you can get those pretty dang cheap. Besides pens, as you can see, I have quite a lot of different ink like that comes in jars, and it's because a lot of them have different tones, different waterproofness. So I have quite a few different ones that I will be using for different purposes. The first one here is Noodlers Ink. I have never used them before, but they have adorable little catfish all over them, and I think it's really cute. And this one is their Heart of Darkness ink. So it's supposed to be their blackest ink. So I haven't really worked with it much yet, but I will be testing it out. Next, I have the one that I have tried quite a lot. It is Platinum Carbon ink. It's highly recommended. I believe it's Japanese, and I love this ink. It's almost completely waterproof. The only issue I have is it's kind of gray. I used to use Speedball all the time. I like it. It kind of gummed up my brush pens though, so I haven't used it as much. I haven't had any problem at all with the carbon ink. And then FW is an acrylic ink. Never put this in a brush pen, it will ruin it. But it is beautiful black ink and I do love it. So if I use it with brushes, I always make sure to rinse them out quickly. I also got this Deleter Black No. 4 ink. Also haven't used that yet. It's tiny, but it is potent. This stuff is black as night. And lastly, I got a little set of these Windsor Newton little ink jars. And some are color, but some are black. I haven't used the black yet, so I might kind of use that to test it out. If I do use color, I probably won't be using the inks. I don't like how color ink handles, so I'm probably going to just be using my watercolors. To me, it's still permanent enough to be considered, you know, part of Inktober, so I have no problem with it. As far as watercolor goes, I've gone through my supplies before, but pretty much my go-to is anything that is artist quality, professional grade paint, not student grade, because student grade is just a waste of money. It's watered down and you're getting less paint for your money, so it's better if you can to buy artist grade. This is my salt. I use a lot of salt in my watercolors and in ink. It creates a unique texture, and while the ink is drying, I sprinkle a little bit of salt all over it, and it creates a really nice texture. I'll definitely show you what that means, but I always have salt nearby, and especially with the galaxy look, I really want to play a lot with salt. For the ink, I have a variety of brushes. They vary from synthetic hair to real hair, but there's nothing wrong with synthetic hair. I have these little Zen brushes that Jet Pens sent to me. Thank you, Jet Pens. They're really nice, especially this little guy for putting tiny details. I use that with my white ink a lot. I have some Princeton brushes. I think these are both Princeton's. Oh, this is Raphael as well. I really like squirrel hair for putting down water. It absorbs a lot of water. So I have a lot of different brushes, some Windsor Newtons around here. Oh no, I have a little rosemary brush and I have a treacle brush, and I don't have it right next to me, but I love my treacle brush. Now, since I'm making this a book, I am going to be using some pre-sketches. I have a video on thumbnail sketching if you want to look that up, but it really helps me figure out what I'm going to be drawing. I will be using my Prismacolor Kohl Erase for that. It really does well with watercolor and ink washes, and if I have to erase, which kind of defeats the purpose of Inktober, I'm gonna try not to use it, but I really love this Factus black eraser. If you really don't want to use pencil at all, that's totally fine, I get it. I don't want to as well sometimes, so I just use a regular ballpoint black pen. I really like these zebra pens. The only thing I don't like about ballpoint pen is they tend to pool a little bit. I actually would totally do an entire Inktober series with just ballpoint. I love ballpoint. I used this before, but I'm probably not going to use it much this year, but this is just a water pen that I have filled with some ink, so it's a little mini ink wash in a tube, but I probably won't be using that this year. I just want to show you it exists. This is just a tiny example of the pens I have, but some of my favorites. This is a Pilot pen, Pilot G-Tech pen. It has a really fine point. Unfortunately, it's not waterproof, but I really like to use it for tiny detail, especially if I am using ballpoint as well. And then of course I have my handy dandy Microns. I absolutely love Micron. Love Sakura in general, they're a great brand, and this is still my favorite pen to go to for tiny detail. I also was given some of these Le Pens by Marvi Uchida. They are really nice rivals to Microns. And then I was also given this Unipin fine line pen from Jet Pens, and this is waterproof and I really love this pen, so I'll be using it as well with my Microns. Next, as a bigger brush pen, I have a Pentel, I believe it's, I always forget the name, but I'll post it below. I think it's like a color brush pen, even though it is black. The ink is pretty cool in tone, and it's not waterproof, so you can use it for ink washes really nicely. But nice brush pen, much cheaper than some of the other ones. Next step up from that is my Pentel pocket brush pen, which is a staple for many inkers. The next step up from that is my Kuretake. I forget what number this one is. I'll post it below. This one was about $20, I want to say, 20 to 30 range. Because I like to put my own ink in it, I have a converter that I put in. So you buy the converter separate. I will definitely post that below as well. It's very important. And you just fill it up with whatever ink you want to use, so you don't have to use their non-waterproof ink. I really like Kuretake brush pens, and I actually got myself an Inktober gift this year from Japan, so it's not here yet. It is a beautiful black barrel, has little cherry blossoms on them, and it's so beautiful. I had to get it. It's a little bit more expensive than this one, but I like to get myself Inktober gifts. I'll definitely let you know how that goes out when I get it. White! When in doubt, some plain old titanium white gouache paint will work very well for your white highlights and such. This is M-Gram. I also use Windsor & Newton. I recently tried this out. It's, I think, Icy Super White Comic White ink. I found this one on Jet Pens. At first I hated it and was so upset. Thought that I got ripped off because I opened it up and it was completely just solid, but I looked it up online and found that you're supposed to have a little bit of water in there. You kind of like push it forward like that, and you dip your brush back here where it is wet but not in the water, and it's perfect. So I really love this stuff. Very concentrated, thick white. Now if you do want to use a pen, I have had a really hard time finding the perfect white pen. Uniball Signo Broad is definitely one of the great ones. I've talked about it before. I really like it. However, mine have just keep gumming up, so it's not perfect. It's definitely a very pigmented white. Next, another Jet Pens that I never would have found before is the Sakura Decorese? I don't know how they pronounce it, but this one's pretty cool because it pools up when you use it, so also very thick. I like that one a lot. Your traditional jelly roll pen, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not very pigmented, but I'm going to be use it for kind of like distant stars, so they're not pure white. And then a couple other ones I have are this Marvi Le Plume white pen, kind of like a paint pen as well. I've liked that one. And lastly, a Uniposca pen, which I'm sure you've seen online. Very pigmented, good paint pen. I am also doing some shiny accents, and I have this liquid chrome pen, and oh my gosh, this pen is so crazy. I need paper for this. I don't want to ruin this paper. I don't know if you could see it, but it's like a mere chrome effect, and I will definitely be using that in some accent stars. Unfortunately, I can't find it because I just moved stuff, but I also use a lot of gold and pearlescent colors. Sakura has a wonderful set. My favorite is Fine Tech for sure. I will post those below. But yeah, those are my supplies. It's a lot. If I end up using more, I will definitely let you guys know on the day that I use something else. Whew. Hopefully I didn't overload you with supply information. Let me know below what you're going to be using. Also, I'd love to know if you're going to be using my prompt for Inktober, and I'd even like to know who else's prompts you're using. I really can't wait to get started on this project. I can't wait to see what you guys do. If you're interested in joining along, definitely hit that subscribe button. Give me a like so I know you're interested. All my social media is down below. I will be trying to post on Instagram and Twitter exactly when my videos go live. All right, my friends, best of luck on your ink journey, and I will see you on day 1.